हेलो। देवयानी बात कर रहे हैं। हेलो।
हॅलो.
देवयानी सेक्शन 8 आहे तुम्ही?
येस सर.
ओके ओके. DRPCS आहे ना सब्जेक्ट. याच्या
येस सर.
याच्या आधीचे लेक्चर्स अटेंड केले आहेत का?
सर मी 2 लेक्चर केले आहे.
बरं बरं, ठीक आहे. कारण की तुम्ही सध्या एकच जण जॉईन झाल्यात म्हणून विचारलं, कोणीच नाही.
हा सर, मी मेसेज केलाय ग्रुप वरती.
ओके ओके, बरं ठीक आहे ना. पाहू
सर
अजून
या
कोणी जॉईन
आधीचे
झालं.
लेक्चर तुम्ही अपलोड केले का गुगल क्लासमध्ये?
हो गुगल क्लासरूमवरती अपलोड केलं ना. त्याची लिंक अपलोड केलेली
हा.
आहे.
नेटवर्क इश्यूमुळे मी जॉईन नाही झाले होते सर.
अच्छा. तर ते एकदा पाहून घ्यायचे आणि त्याचे ते व्हिडिओचे लिंक टाकलेले आहेत यूट्यूबवरती, तर अपलोड केलेले आहेत त्याचे.
ओके सर. ओके.
ठीक आहे, आपण वाट पाहू अजून काही जॉईन झाले तर मी चालू करून टाकू.
हा सर, ठीक आहे.
ओके. Okay. Anyways, only two students are joined. So we will start. So in earlier lectures, we have gone through different specification, I specification, reinforcement, related to reinforcement, related to cover, related to the spacing of the reinforcement, load, and now we'll go through this part, that is effective span. So what is now effective span? This is the thing. So suppose there is a beam or slab which is simply supported. So when we can say it is a simply supported, so you have this support and you have the support at this position. So other loading would be anything like this or something like this. So other loading is available and you have this support, let us say at point A and then support at point B. So this kind of, suppose there is a support, and in that case we will say it is a simply supported beam, or even we can say it is a simply supported slab. So basically how we can say that it is a effective span. So effective span of a member that is not built integrally with support. So what is meant by built integrally with support? Suppose this support, what is meant by support? Support is something maybe of wall or maybe with of column. So it depends what kind of support is there. And now when we say built integrally, it means that suppose this is your slab or beam and this is your maybe wall or column. They have been made of concrete at the time of concrete. They made at one time. So in that case only we can say it is a built integrally. So here what it signifies that effective span of a member that is not built integrally with support. So it is not in this case also. So shall be taken as clear span. So what is clear span? So this is the inner edge and this is the inner edge. So from inner edge to inner edge, whatever the length is there, so that is called as a clear span. In our case, this is called as clear span denoted by LC plus the effective depth of the slab or beam. Now, what is meant by effective depth? Suppose this is a concrete section, or maybe beam or slab, and now there will be the reinforcement. So when we say total depth, so total depth would be from outer edge to outer edge. Okay, outer edge to outer edge. This is called as a total depth. But when we say effective depth, so it means that this, let us say this is the center line of reinforcement and this is the outer edge. In that case, this is called as a effective depth. So this is a effective depth. So that may be of slab, that may be of the beam. Okay. So this is a effective depth denoted by small d. So what we are saying? We are saying that clear span plus effective depth means LC plus D. So that is the one. And it is saying or center to center of the support. So center to center, suppose you got here center line, you got here this is the center line, you got this is the center line. So center to center. So this is the center to center. Okay, center to center of the support. So this is called as a center to center of support. So this is your condition one, and this is your second condition. And out of these two, whichever is the lesser one. Suppose sometimes the second would be lesser, sometimes first would be lesser. Accordingly, we will say that out of these two, whichever is the lesser, so we will say that is our effective span. Why we would like to do for the effective span? Effective span, it is a parameter when we want to calculate certain, say sometimes you have to calculate moment, sometimes you have to calculate ASC, and likewise we need this effective span while designing a slab or designing a beam. So in our case, just you should understand that the first one, that is the clear span. What is meant by clear span? This is the clear span, inner edge to inner edge. And then you have to add effective depth or beam. And the second condition is center to center of the support. So this is the second condition, and this is the first condition. You just take any one of these two, whichever is lesser. That is called as a effective span. So this was the case when it is a simply supported. Now suppose what would happen if it is not simply supported. So what could be the other one? Continuous beam or slab. Now what is meant by continuous beam or slab? Suppose this is the beam or slab, you have the support here, you have support here, you have support here. So you got here continuous. Okay, you got here continuous support. Earlier simply supported, it means you have only these two support, that's it. These two support, that is called as simply supported. But in continuous, you have more than one, more than two support. So you support 1, 2, 3, 4. So more than two supports you have. That is called as a continuous beam or slab, and this is a simply supported beam or slab. So what would be the effective span in case of continuous beam? So now there are the condition. If the width of support is less than 1/12 of the clear span. Okay. What is the condition? If the width of the support is less than 1/12 of the clear span. So what is the width? This is the width. So this should be less than 1/12 of the clear span. What is clear span? This is your clear span. So 1/12 of the clear span you have to calculate. Now, first of all, you will calculate. Suppose the width of the support, you will calculate. This is say W, width of the support, and this suppose it is less than 1/12 of the clear span. Then the effective span shall be as per above. So in that case, whatever the calculation part we have seen here, so this one, all this part would be applicable. So I repeat, suppose this is the width, you got here width, W, if it is less than 1/12 of clear span. In that case, whatever we have considered here, this would be applicable. So what we have considered here, clear span plus effective depth, that is LC plus D, you have to calculate, and center to center of the support. So center to center of the support, so we can say C oblique C. So out of these two, whichever is lesser will be applicable. Now, in case if supports are wider than 1/12 of the clear span or 600 mm, there is a condition. Either 1/12 of this clear span or 600 mm, whichever. So out of these two, if it is wider, this support is wider than this 600 mm or 1/12 of the clear span, whatever you got, and out of that, it is written whichever is less. So either 600 mm would be lesser, or 1/12 of the clear span would be say 700 mm. So whichever is lesser, so 600 mm will be applicable. So that is called whichever is less. So in such situation, what should be the effective span? Effective span. So the effective span shall be taken as follows: for end span with one end fixed and other continuous, one end fixed and other continuous, or for the intermediate span, the effective span shall be clear span between the support. So clear span, as I said, inner edge to inner edge. This is the clear span. This is the clear span, inner edge to inner edge. So for this condition, for end span with one end fixed, so one end fixed like this, you got here fixed, and the other one is the continuous, you got here continuous, or even for the intermediate span. What is meant by intermediate span now? So let us say that you got a beam here, you got this beam, and intermediate supports are there. These are the intermediate support. But what is meant by intermediate span? So we can say this is called as a end span. This is called as a end span. Why we are saying? Because that is the end. Here it is end. Here it is end. So immediate to that, there is a end span. Immediate to that, there is a end span. Now in between, this is the first, this is second. They are called as a intermediate span. So these are called as a intermediate span. And what is the end span? This is your end span. Yes. So that's your end span with one end fixed. So sometimes, suppose this end would be the fixed end. So in that case, or even for the intermediate one, this condition will be applicable. What is the condition? Effective span, it is equals to the clear span. So now we'll move to the next part. So suppose now for end span with one end free and other is continuous. So as you have seen, end span with one end free and other continuous. So in that case, effective span shall be equal to clear span plus half the effective depth of the beam or slab. This is the first condition, shall be equal to clear span plus half the effective depth of beam. So this is the first condition. End span with one end free and other continuous. And what is the second condition? So second condition is clear span plus half the width of the discontinuous support. Clear span plus half the width of the discontinuous support, and out of these two, the second one, whichever is less. So out of these two, either one would be less or either second would be less. Accordingly, you have to consider that. So one end free and the other end is the continuous one. In that case, we will consider. So these are the two conditions. This was the second condition, and earlier it was the first condition. So LC plus D by 2 or LC plus half of width of discontinuous support. Discontinuous support means that is at the end span. We got here end span. So what is the width of here at this location? Sometimes why this is called as, because sometimes or many times you can see that say if this is a beam and beam is resting on the column. So what is the support? Support is nothing but the column. So column will have the different dimensions. Column will have the different dimensions. Inner dimensions would be different. Or inner span dimension would be different. Outer span dimension would be different. That's the reason we just check what is the discontinuous support here and what is the width of it. And then there is a cantilever. What is called as a cantilever? Cantilever is something like this. You have your fixed and you got your free end. There is no support here. So you can see most of the time porches or the gallery, they are nothing but the cantilever. Porches, galleries, most of the time you will see they are considered as cantilever because you don't have the column here. No. So it is taken at its length to the face of the support, length to the face of the support plus half the effective depth. So face of the support, what is the face of the support? So you got here column, and this is your beam. This is your beam. So we are considering this is the face of the support, length at the face of the support plus half the effective depth. Effective depth, this is the effective depth. As we have seen, effective depth, what is called as, except where it forms the end of a discontinuous beam, except where it forms the end of a discontinuous beam, where the length to the center of the support shall be taken. So mostly we have to consider this as a effective span, but sometimes you may find that this may form end of a discontinuous beam. So in that case, we can just consider length to the center of the support. So what is center of the support? This is the center of the support, right? So I usually draw it with the mouse, so you won't get a perfect line. So this is the center. This can be considered. Similarly, frames. In the analysis of a continuous frame, center to center distance shall be used for the effective length. So most of the time, we will consider center to center distance. So those were the effective span. Now we will consider the deflection control. So and this part is nothing but the serviceability part. Serviceability part, because we have seen in earlier cases that we have seen what are the different types of the limit state, right? And now in the limit state, we have seen there are two parts: limit state of flexure, limit state of collapse, right? And limit state of serviceability. So for this deflection part is nothing but the limit state of serviceability. So the final deflection due to all loads, including the effect of temperature, creep, and shrinkage, shall not exceed span divided by 250. So whatever span is there, okay. So span divided by 250, that is the deflection or the maximum deflection should be there. Then deflection including the effect of temperature, creep, and shrinkage occurring after erection of the partition and application of finishes shall not normally exceed span divided by 350 or 20 mm, whichever is best. So when we consider or we want to consider, there would be the effects of temperature. Because of the temperature, there would be changes in the length. Because of the creep, because of the shrinkage, you will find there would be the changes in the length. So that would occur after erection of the partitions and when you apply the floor finishes. So likewise. So should not normally exceed span divided by 350. And then for beam and slab, the vertical deflection limit may generally be assumed to be satisfied provided the span to effective depth ratio are as under. So if you are going to provide this span divided by effective depth ratio, span divided by effective depth ratio, cantilever, simply supported, continuous. So you know that what is cantilever, what is continuous, and what is meant by simply supported. So cantilever is something like this. Then you are simply supported, which would be like this. And then you have this continuous like this. More than two supports. Most of the time, we will consider they are continuous. So you should have this span divided by depth ratio as 7, 20, and 26. If you satisfy this, so your deflection criteria will also get satisfied, right? So this is very important that if it is cantilever, you can see the span divided by effective depth ratio is very less. Why? Because it is a cantilever part, you don't have any kind of support at the end. Here there is no support, and that's the reason you have to. And if you apply one a smaller load here, so this will get deflect very easily. So that's the reason here span to effective depth ratio is very less. While if you go for the other condition, just like simply supported, it is a 20, which is more than cantilever, and continuous, which is the stronger. Because you got here continuous means you got more supports to that beam, and that's the reason you will have more. This ratio is more than cantilever as well as simply supported, and that is 26. So 7, 20, and 26. So that's the criteria that you have to keep in mind. And then there is another thing for span about 10 meter. So this was earlier less than 10 meter. Now suppose there is a span which is more than 10 meter. So the whatever values we got, which values we got, 7, 20, and 26. So they have to be multiplied by 10 divided by span, except for cantilever, in which case deflection calculation should be made. So it has to be multiplied by 10 divided by span. So suppose you got here 15 meters. So you have to calculate this 10 divided by 15 and multiply it, and whatever you will get, so that should be considered. But still, depending upon the area of tension reinforcement, the value of span to effective depth, span to depth ratio only shall be modified as per this part, which is in the next line. So according to IS code, you got here this figure number 4. If you have this IS code, then you can go to the page number 38. And on the page number 38, you got this modification factor for the tension reinforcement. Now, obviously, where would be the tension reinforcement? So tension reinforcement would be in the case of beam in the slab. Most of the time we'll go for this tension reinforcement. So beam and slab, yes, definitely you'll have to go for tension reinforcement. And there is a modification factor. So what is this modification factor, and what are the different parameters on which it depends upon? So percentage tension reinforcement, how much you are going to provide the percentage of the tension reinforcement, that you have to see. These are the first parameter, this is the second parameter, and then third, this is a FS. Okay, FS, it is something, a ratio. What is the ratio of it? It's 0.58 into Fy. Fy, you know, that is the characteristic strength of the steel. It could be 415, it could be 500, depending upon that. And then area of the cross section of steel required and area of the cross section of the steel provided. So when we calculate it, so depending on that, so we have to cross this. Suppose you got here percentage tension reinforcement as say 1.5 here, and you got here as here 1.0, say 0.809, and let us say it is going to cross at this part. So this part, okay, Fs, it is going to cross at this part. So this is the modification factor. So basically, percentage, it depends upon the percentage reinforcement. Suppose you have provided 0.8, this would be 1.0. Then between that, let us say 0.9, and you got here Fs equals to this 190. In that case, it is going to cross at this location, and this location, it is nothing but 1.2. So this would be the modification factor. It means that you have to multiply it. You have to multiply depending upon the tension and the value of the span to effect to death ratio be further modified. So you have to again modify it according to this. While what if it was earlier for the tension reinforcement? What about the compression reinforcement? You mean that compression reinforcement, it is nothing but for the column, you will have the compression reinforcement. So sometimes it may happen that this is a beam and wherein you got the W reinforcement. W reinforcement means this is the compression part and this is your tension part. Bottom part, this is your tension part, this is your compression part. Because whenever, suppose if you see this is a beam, it will deflect like this. It will deflect like this. So you got here compression, you got here tension. So compression reinforcement, if you are going to provide the compression reinforcement, in that case, let us say you are going to provide 1.12. It is going to cross at this location, and what is you got here 1.25. So that's it. You have to modify like this. Again, similar way, there are the flange beams. For the flange beam, as I have told you what is meant by the flange beam. So ratio of the web width to the flange width, it depends, and then accordingly you can reduce it. So basically that is the reduction factor. So when we'll go for it, so you will better understand that part. Okay. So today we have gone through effective span, what is effective span, and what is the deflection criteria for the tension reinforcement, compression reinforcement, and flange to width ratio as well. Okay, so here we will stop and we'll go for the assumptions or limit state method and total theoretical part and their formula, all those things. We will cover it in the next lecture. Okay, so here we will stop. Thank you. And do remember that in the Google Classroom, just always mark your attendance